How much money do you think is enough for retirement? Gen Zs in Singapore have their sights set on $1 million goal. And that's the number more than half the respondents in a recent MoneyMind survey think they will need to achieve financial freedom at the age of 55. But is that a reasonable number? Today, we'll talk about one factor to consider that's key to your purchasing power: inflation.
If you look at a long-term average inflation rate, is about 2%. If you were to plan for your retirement, if you take into consideration of 3% inflation rate instead of 2%, I would say that you're planning it very conservatively.
Inflation measures the change in the cost of living over time. A common way to track inflation is to look at the Consumer Price Index, or CPI. The CPI tracks changes in the price of a fixed basket of goods and services commonly purchased by households. These include utilities, food, and transport costs. This is what inflation looks like. A plate of chicken rice costs about $4 now. Assuming a 2% inflation rate, the same plate of chicken rice will cost almost $8 in 2055. When you're calculating your future living costs, use an upper estimate to give you more wiggle room. Let's say you expect your monthly expenses to be $3,000 when you retire. With an inflation rate of 3% per annum, you will need $7,300 a month in 30 years' time. That means you will need almost $2 million to retire. If you need more money, say $5,000 a month, that brings the total amount to almost $3 million.
I know it sounds like a huge number, but it's actually very achievable. If you start investing early, start compounding the interest, compounding the return that you can, it is definitely achievable over time. Yeah, especially when you are young.
You'll need to decide where you're going to live and if you can pay off your mortgage by the time you retire.
A young person, when they just started off their job, right, they won't be thinking about retirement, right? They'll be thinking about short-term goals like, when are they going to buy their first house? When are they going to get married? Do I have enough to have a property if I'm single at 35 to buy that property? So it's important to focus on the fact that they need to do something about it. They need to at least set aside 10%, 20%, or 15% thereabouts for the long-term goal of retirement.
Healthcare cost is another key factor to consider.
The public healthcare is fantastic. We can rely on that 100%. If we do have the option of private healthcare, that's where it's more expensive. The difference in premiums between the public and the private can be 100 to 200% more. Healthcare premiums are payable for life. Therefore, it's important to have certain annuities or certain dividends that will pay you for life so that you can account for that healthcare cost even after your retirement.
Besides putting money aside as savings, there are also different tools you can use to achieve your retirement goal.
Some of the instruments that can help you build this passive income, for example, your investment plans, investments in your stocks and shares that gives you dividends, right? It can be also your property that you would buy and sell or even rent out for income.
There are also annuity plans, which is a type of insurance that pays you an income stream for life.
So annuity plans can be of different forms. Option one is when you have a lump sum of money, right? Basically you put into the plan, you wait for about 3 years to 5 years. The insurance company will then pay you a sum of money every year until death. Then this money will then be passed on to the next generation. It can also be somewhat of accumulation from now to age 55, for example. You set aside a sum of money, and then at age 65, you start withdrawing your income from your annuity plan.
Don't rely on just one source of passive income or investment. It's important to build up a diversified stream to help you meet your retirement goal.
The return of annuity plan is usually a lot lower and slightly higher than your savings rate. but it's a lot lower than how much you can get from investing into stocks. I would say that a good balance of your investment portfolio, such as if you're planning for your retirement and you have more than 30 years time horizon, you can look at a 60% stocks and 40% bonds kind of portfolio. Your annuity plan is good. The payout may not be sufficient enough to cover that because the return is low. It might not even hedge against inflation.
So if there's 3 things that I will leave to young people out there, is number 1 is to start saving and start early. Number 2, because of that, you are taking advantage of the power of compounding, and that will help you grow your money more efficiently. Number 3 is start investing, right? Because investment is no longer a want, it's a need.